Child marriage is a legal marriage or informal union where one or both parties are children under the age of 18. While child marriage is far more likely to happen to girls, in some countries it's not uncommon for boys to also marry before the age of 18. More often than not, a younger girl is married to an older man. Child marriage also generally to be understood to mean a marriage that takes place before the age of 18, but for many girls, marriage occurs much earlier. In some countries, girls as young as 7 or 8 are forced by their families to marry much older men. The reasons girls are married are diverse, and parents sometimes believe that through marriage they are protecting their daughters and increasing their economic opportunities. However, child marriage exposes girls to increased health problems and violence, denies them access to social networks and support systems, and perpetuates a cycle of poverty and gender inequality. Child marriage occurs when one or both of the spouses are below the age of 18. Child marriage is a violation of Article 16 Clause 2 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which states that marriage shall be entered into only with the free and full consent of intending spouses. Article 16 of the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women states that women should have the same right as men to freely choose a spouse and to enter into marriage only with their free and full consent, and that the betrothal and marriage of a child shall have no legal effect. According to UNICEF, South Asia has the highest rates of child marriage in the world. Almost half, which is 45% of all women aged 20 to 24 years, reported being married before the age of 18. Almost 1 in 5 girls, which is 17%, are married before the age of 15. Child marriage violates children's rights and places them at high risk of violence, exploitation, and abuse. India has the largest number of brides in the world, which is 1/3 of the global total. Bangladesh has the highest rate of child marriage in Asia, which is the 4th highest rate in the world. Other than that, Nepal has also one of the highest rates of child marriage in Asia for both boys and girls.
These girls are faced with lasting consequences such as health issues, complications during pregnancy and childbirth, sexual health problems due to immaturity of sexual organs, HIV and AIDS, cervical cancer, economical issues, negative impact on girls' education resulting to lifelong disempowerment, poverty, social issues, domestic violence and martial rape, unable to cope with theirs and their baby's psychological, emotional, and economic needs, gender inequality, depression, and suicidal. The causes of child marriage are motivated by different factors across communities and regions, sometimes even within the same country. It can be divided into 4, which are poverty, tradition, survival, and education. Within many impoverished contexts, girls and women aren't seen as potential wage earners. Rather, they are considered financial burdens to their families and consequently less valuable than boys. For parents with several children or families living in extreme poverty, child marriage is a simple way to help alleviate the desperate economic conditions they find themselves in. It's one less mouth to feed and one less education to fund. In communities where a dowry is paid by the girl's family, a marriage at a younger age can mean a lower expense. In other communities with a bride price, which are the amount paid by the groom to the parents of a bride, younger girls often get a higher price. Child marriage can also be influenced by norms and beliefs. In some societies, marriage is nothing more than a phase of womanhood. Once menstruation starts, a girl is seen as a grown woman, so the logical next steps for her are marriage and motherhood.
For other families, forced child marriage is a survival strategy. If they cannot afford to feed and educate all of their children, marrying off the girls eliminates the burden of feeding them while also allowing parents to give preference to boys' schooling. In fragile contexts or where there is war or crisis, child marriage is also seen as a way to protect girls in a hostile environment. When people have been forced from their homes, they may reason that it is better for a girl to have the protection of a husband than to risk physical or sexual assault from strangers in refugee camps. Lastly, child marriage statistics shows that girls who aren't in school face a greater risk of becoming child brides. Girls who have no education are 3 times more likely to marry before 18 than girls who attend secondary school or higher. Many girls are forced to drop out in order to focus on the
children. Under the terms of the convention, governments are required to
The impact of child marriage is predominantly felt by young girls. When a young girl girl gets married, she is expected to drop out of school and she is not likely to return. As she becomes a wife and a mother, her domestic duties become the focus of her life.
Y es lo que me pregunto, digo, ¿así se sentirán de feo igual que yo? Yo pienso que la educación es lo más bonito que puede existir. Te preguntan algo, ya sabes qué contestar. No te puedes quedar callado. Yo tenía en mente, pues, estudiar medicina. Su abuelo de mi esposo, él piensa que no está bien que uno estudie. Si ya se juntó uno, pues atiende tu casa, tu familia.
A chilling statistic from Children's Rights Organization Plan International says that 70,000 girls die in labor every year because their bodies aren't ready for childbirth. In fact, in many low and middle income countries, complications from pregnancy and childbirth are the leading cause of death among girls aged 15 to 19. According to the International Women's Health Coalition, girls under 15 are 5 times more likely to die in childbirth than women in their 20s, and they face a higher risk of pregnancy-related injuries. Power dynamics within marriage can also lead to sexual violence. Many child brides describe their first sexual experience as forced. The age gap actually really matters. The greater the age difference between a child bride and her husband, the more likely she is to experience intimate partner violence. In a study in northern Ethiopia, 81% of girls married aged 10 to 19 described their first sexual experience as against their will. Other studies have also found that many women who have married young continue to experience forced sex throughout their marriage. We know what needs to be done. Making it happen requires our commitments and actions working together. We are seeing changes in the lives of the communities and all over the world, but the changes are happening far too slowly. We need to stop thinking of child marriage as a niche topic that can be ignored and start recognizing it for what it is. A human rights abuse that is subjecting 1 in every 3 girls in the world to multiple forms of violence.
Ever wonder what would be the best solutions to the child marriage issues? For your information, at a global level, child marriage is included in the Goal 5, which is to achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls.
End violence program to protect children and young people all over the world from violence.